Hello my friends and welcome to another stream of Adobe Live. Today I have D&AD Shifter Grace McNally.
Hello.
Grace, how are you doing my dear?
I'm doing great, I'm enjoying London. Oh, sorry.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, I'm enjoying London. This is my first time in a while, so yeah, okay. I've been liking it.
Where are you, I mean the detection of the accent, but where are you from for our
Queens, New York. Queens get the money.
Any Queens in there?
Yes, let's go.
I love that. And I welcome of course to you lovely folks in the chat. Emma, Doris, Reverb, as always, if you're on YouTube, perhaps get those comments in the chat and I'll share them directly with Grace as we have a nice little discussion. So Grace, we should jump into a bit more about how did you get into the industry that you're working within?
Yeah, so how I started doing creative work was through my dad. When he came to the US, he was a photographer. And when he passed away, I started to do photography in his honor, and that just really gave me it opened me up to a whole new world. So from there, I started to do creative writing, videography, and then that evolved into collage and just all different types of art.
I love that. It's like you got the drive as well now to even do it, like I said, in his honor, which is quite...
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really nice to know. Yeah. And I guess, do you feel like during this process of learning as you go along, of course, in this space, there's been any kind of bumps along the route or ways that you kind of found? Because again, with the beauty of our Adobe Live, we have a lot of students and grads in the chat. So it'd be quite nice to know how you maybe overcame some situations in your industry. Maybe you can have.
Yeah, I think what's been most helpful to me and most important is, and I'm very blessed to have this, is a community of people that can remind me of who I am and what I do things for. I feel like it's very easy to lose yourself, especially with social media and when you're trying to make it out there for yourself. I did not go to college, I don't have any degrees, and I was forging my way, and I'm really grateful to have people that could kind of say, but this is who you are, because it's so easy to lose that.
I love as well, because the beauty of what we do is that, especially on the live, is that all walks of life as well on the streams. So not necessarily that traditional route, right, as going to university, college and so forth. But it's nice to know how you've kind of found your way into the space.
Yeah.
Organically as well, and actually you're loving it and what you're doing.
No, I love it. And I'm definitely extremely non-traditional. It's something I stick to.
Nice.
I've made sure to I keep who I am. I keep the words I would use with my friends in my conversations. I'll keep it a buck. That's
keep
what I
real.
do.
Yes. That's the Queen's one.
Yeah.
I love that. And obviously, being at D&AD today, so we're based in sunny Trimbury, East London, and of course there's a lot of things happening though throughout the D&AD space. How have you found it all, digesting it all? Because there's a lot, but Disneyland for creators in a way, right?
It is. It's kind of I wouldn't say information overload, but inspiration overload.
I like that.
I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's a lot going on here, and particularly I'm very inspired by Adobe. Once I got into photography, Photoshop really became my world, and that's where I love to explore to this day. So I've been really enjoying the Adobe Lab and all of the different talks that we have.
Is that your go-to program when you say Photoshop, or do you have a favorite?
Photoshop is my favorite. I love Premiere as well. But yeah, I've always just loved Photoshop. Something I've been doing more recently, I love self-portraits. And I've gotten into using my phone to do them, because it could be, I like to do a lot of heavy backgrounds, and I would try to get myself out of doing it by being I have to go put all of this up together, and then I have to run back and forth to the camera. So when I started using my phone a bit more, it became easier for me to get past that and not have the excuse.
No, and I guess it's on the go, right? You can kind of do things a bit more flexible, right, with how you want to. I mean, when you're kind of working, do you have a setup at home, office setup, or do you kind of a go-to space that you go to? What's your kind of setup at home when you're in the creative zen space, as it were?
My room is an amalgamation of everything. I have a corner with a bunch of clay where I do claymation.
Okay.
I have a white wall where I'll just put up fabric and get to it. But yeah, I definitely on the go. That's something I've been wanting to do a bit more. Actually, yesterday at the Adobe Lab, I did a bit of a self-portrait with some of the there are great backgrounds around here, and I respect that. So
there's a lot of Wes Anderson trends I see popping up, because there's a lot of cool spaces to photograph.
Definitely.
I mean, your workspace sounds pretty I mean, do you do like tours there? Like, I feel like it's like a lovely space, like with the clay in the corner. And
I've heard very nice compliments about my background on Zoom. Like, actually, this is my, I'm the first New York shifter to come to London. So a few people that I've spoken to have been like, by the way, like, I have like a mannequin in my background and like, you know, Kirby, like a bunch of different things. And
so for anyone who has like Zoom meetings with you, you know what you're going to get when you have a chat with Grace,
yes.
and you're going to have some cool stuff. So on that topic of the D&AD, and especially the Shift in particular, how did you learn about Shift?
I was scrolling on Instagram, and it's at the same time, I was struggling with not going to college, particularly because I found it really hard to meet like-minded people. And I feel like when you're doing your own work, it can be really hard to not have somebody to look next to that's doing the same thing. Like, I love that my friends support me, and it's so great, but it's also great to have friends that are doing creative work as well. So at the time, I was like, you know, I just wish I had that community. And then Shift came up on my Instagram. I was like, all right, well, you know, I'll apply. And
I mean, to be fair, that was kind of the next question I was going to ask, but it's the idea of what the difference has made kind of maybe to your career, or even your perspective on how you view your industry. Like, would you say it's had a bit of an impact, or even just being here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's completely changed my life in the best ways. And also, like, me as a person, like, I'm so much more proud of things that I had been told for a long time, where like things, if you want to get a job, you need to hide away, but those things have become what got me jobs and what helped me make the connections that like I'm the most happy with and make the work I'm the most proud of.
That's amazing. I think the idea as well of like being I won't say being proud, but like being, you know, being proud of the work you produce, right? And I feel like sometimes it's healthy to, there's that line of self-promotion, but actually to a point where you're not maybe being too cocky or anything like that, but it's still, you know, you spend a lot of time doing something, you spend a lot of energy as well, right? And then you share it to the world, and it's just like, it's maybe the nervousness of how it's going to be reacted, but sometimes that's the thrill of it as well, right? And
absolutely.
like hearing people respond.
Yeah, and I feel like that, like, pride is such a driving force, and passion. I feel like pride and passion are very intertwined, and I feel like when you're passionate about something is when it will thrive. And like when you allow yourself to be passionate for something that other people are like, why do you care about that? Or like, you know, that's not normal, whatever.
No. Do you know, I love you said that, because I feel like under this roof, like literally everyone here has their kind of like things that they absolutely adore, they love to do, and it's just like, I can't remember who it was, but we had a really good guest, and it was like, I don't want to geek out about something. I was like, no, you're in the perfect place to geek out, because literally everyone here, we're creators of some sort, or not necessarily just creators, but we have an interest in it as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, in the perfect space to geek out. So,
I love that.
Yeah. Cool. So I mean, in terms of, for our audience out there as well, if you know, streaming in today, how would you encourage maybe some of our folks to get involved with the D&AD Shift? Is there anything that you would, obviously you mentioned you found it via social media and Instagram.
Yeah.
Is there any other ways, or maybe that is just the way through social media, like what would you encourage for those to want to get involved?
You should definitely check out the D&AD website. There's shifters from all over the world now, and it's just expanding. Even if applications aren't open in your area yet, you can go through and look at shifters from before, and all of every shifter creates a 60-second video just about like who they are and about their journey. I love to look at it. I think it's so inspiring, especially like all over the world and different generations of shifters. Like, it's been going on for a while now, so that's always something to do, and there's so much information built into that, and that's something I love about D&AD in general. Like, it's not, there's no gatekeeping. Like, we can all thrive, and I feel like that's really what Shift is about. Like, there's spaces for everybody to thrive.
I like that you mentioned that the word of generations as well, because it's like what someone, say for example in their first year of uni, to say someone who's been in the industry for like 40 plus years, it's a completely different perspective, and both is very much valid in terms of like their opinion. So I think that's quite nice when you mentioned you can see the vast variety, you know what I mean? You know what I mean out there too. But like the different, you know, varieties out there in terms of like how people see different perspectives, right? On the industry.
Absolutely. Like when I graduated Shift, a few months later, I was hired at an agency, and I think this is a very unique experience for a shifter. My agency already had about 8 shifters from the past. So immediately when I went in, like, it's just a very unique experience. Like, I did not have formal education in advertising, and neither did these other shifters, and we're all in this space where people had gone to ad school, they had been trained a certain way. And that's what Shift is about. Like, we haven't been trained in that way, and we think a bit differently. But going into an agency and having that community of people that also went through the same experience as me, like, I was super nervous, very nervous all the time. But but I had people there who could talk to me about, like, I felt the same way, and like, this is something I figured out.
Do you know what? I don't know if you ever feel it, but I always feel like these kind of, even the idea of nervousness, especially in a place where it's full of creatives or not, we all get it, right? It's the difference is I always think to myself, the older we get better at hiding it more. But we all feel, even being in a live stream with you lovely people now, sweaty palms, you can't see it because it's not HD. But it's that element of, I generally believe if you're nervous because you want to do well, right? And that's healthy thing. So
that's so true. I think also, like, people can hone their nervousness. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I know people who can like turn anxiety into energy. And that's a great, that's a superpower.
That is a superpower. I love that.
Yeah.
I went into my sort of geeky Marvel mode there, which I'm gonna get into that whole different stream in itself. And in terms of one thing we've asked, all of our lovely guests today, including yourself, which I'll ask now, in keeping with the D&AD theme of make change, if there was something or one thing you would change in your industry, or you would like to change your industry, what would it be? Which is a big question, I know. And it could, right there.
I feel like a lot of people think that they need to hide, like, how they got their success from other people, because right now, and especially as creatives, and if you're coming from a background where you're a self-made creative, like, you think, well, if they get this job, then I'm not going to have it. But that's not how it is, and that's not how it has to be. Like, creativity is limitless. There is no end to it. Like, all there can be is growth. So I feel like if people, I really respect people that are very open about, like, how they got to what they do, like the mistakes that they've made, because it doesn't hurt you to share those things. It just, helps everybody, and also helps yourself, I think.
It makes you more like, it's human, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, and I'm glad you mentioned the idea of the not glorifying the mistakes, but these things happen, right? Like, within our industry, it doesn't matter what level of the spectrum you're on, it's like we all make mistakes. And I think that's quite nice that you mentioned that element of actually showcasing that, and actually that can really help other people, right? In terms of what to look out for and whatnot, and the cliche of sharing is caring, but that kind of...
Yeah, but so true.
It's so true.
It's also nice, like...
Yeah, of course.
I love to care. It's great.
That. And to be fair, on the topic of share, I mean, I know you can... Obviously, I keep saying to everyone here, but obviously we can see all the amazing work out there, right? And it's a lot of stuff here. And obviously it's cool to see other creatives sharing their work, right? On top of on a platform like this, which is cool. I mean, how have you sort of found in terms of going through the work? Are you kind of, like, the work you've seen is kind of a sense of... not overwhelmingness, but like it's very cool to sort of see the variety of different types of work.
I love it, and like, even in the same category where you're like entering work, you can see so many different inspirations come, and like you're working on, like, let's say for packaging, like you're both working on a bottle, but it's just completely different, like where it's drawn from, and that's so beautiful to see.
Do you know what I love to see when I've gone through the work is like collaborations, like when you see people like joining forces, and we had a last stream previously about this, and like it's tapping into not necessarily people who have the same skill set as you, but have difference, and like the energy of both of you want to get to the best thing possible, but because you've got that vibe, you both want to work on something cool, right, and impactful. And I've seen a few like different collabs, which is quite nice for other times. Awesome, Grace, it's been really cool to know more about yourself, and to know like your work ethic and who you are.
Thank you.
Maybe for those out there, in terms of how they can follow up with you on social media, like is there anything you want to plug to our lovely audience about that?
Yeah, definitely. My Instagram is grmcn. You could see a lot of what I do there. I do a lot of self-portraits, different videos.
Is the clay models there?
There's a bit of clay. Yeah, I incorporate clay into some of the music videos that I do. And I'm just always experimenting, and I love encouraging people to experiment. So even if my experiments there's failed experiments, but I still put them out there because
Do you feel like that, just on that topic actually, that when you put things online, that comes with a bit of confidence, right? Do you feel like sometimes that's something that some people can have it from very young, like confidence, and it's already there, but some people may have a bit more time to nurture it? Have you got any advice for those who maybe are watching and confidence isn't maybe just there yet to put work out there for the world to share?
I feel like it's little steps, whatever that may be for you. Like if it's something that, I've put out work and I'm like, I could have like done this a little bit better, but putting it out there is also kind of a reminder to myself. We're like, okay, well, next time I can improve on this. But also, like, my relationship with social media is, I'm Gen Z. I was born 2002, so like I've been with social media.
Now. I'm joking. Yeah.
But you know, I've been with social media for a very long time, and I feel like people in that age range have a very strange relationship, because like whether it's you post a picture of yourself, like that used to be terrifying to me. When I was younger, I did not like anybody taking pictures of me. And now I do self-portraits, and it's my favorite thing, which is strange, but I worked on that through art. Like, I was very uncomfortable with people taking pictures of me, so I started to do it myself, and I didn't care about how like if I looked pretty or what it was anymore. It was just like, I'm creating something, and that's what I was happy
You embraced into that no, not fear. Well, I guess it's a bit of fear in a sense, isn't it? But you've actually embraced it in a sense where it's now become your superpower, which is really cool.
And I feel like it goes back to what we were talking about with nervousness. Like, it really just is energy, and it's easy for it to like overtake you and overwhelm you. But if you can give it that little shot to seep into what you're doing, it could open up a new world, I would say.
I love that. And we've got some lovely comments that's coming through as we're going through the stream, and we've actually got Jacqueline who said that I actually adore your hair.
Oh,
so
thank you.
So on that topic of the portrait, but yeah, no, great. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Adobe stream. And actually to mention on this topic of the D&AD Shift, obviously D&AD Shift with Google London, it's now open until 15th of May, I think it is. Yeah. I want to guess it is, but it's right on my screen, so I know it is. 15th of May is when the application's closed, so if you can, get out there. No, it's open until then, actually. Yeah, so get out there if you can. And
if you have any questions, like, you can always hit me up on Instagram. My LinkedIn is also, it's Grace McNally. So that should help you find it. You can see my hair in the picture, so that might help. But yeah, any questions about Shift, I'm always open.
Oh, nice. Grace, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. And,
Thank you.
And as always, we're going to be back shortly with another stream, so stay tuned and we will see you then. So, ciao.